Hello everybody, what is up? Say hello in the chat and I will attempt to say your name, and we are going to get ready here shortly. I'm just going to let some people filter through. Say hello, hello. Alrighty, righty. A lot of people, the regular working people, TGIF, right? Thank God it's Friday. Not for me. I actually don't like the weekends because sales are lower on the weekends. See, when you work for yourself, things are kind of opposite sometimes. You want to go back to the work week. That's the goal ultimately. I don't care who you are. Work for yourself, be a freelancer, own your own business. That is the ultimate freedom. All right. Hello, Williams, Algio, Singh, Grace, what's up? T20S Grunt, probably the most prolific super chatter on this channel. Mr. Boom, what is up? Sembo. All right. Awesome stuff. All right, before we begin, this is a live UI UX review. We call it the negative space, a play on graphic design and all that good stuff. And essentially, I review your designs, usually in the context of UI UX designs. I can also do logo design reviews. I was once upon a time an identity designer a long time ago, so I could do logo reviews as well. You submit them in my Discord server. All the submission details on how to do that are in the description. And I take them in the order they come. And it's in the negative space submissions channel of my server. So we already got, there's still room. Yeah, you probably already got like 15 or so submissions. So yeah, join up there. Also, just a bit of spam and news for you. We have a dedicated Discord server, separate for just the DesignCourse.com premium members, which is growing. We have over 1,200 members in the course, but I'm going to send an email notifying everybody they can join. But of course, if you're living under a rock and you don't know who I am yet, you will see that we've recently launched DesignCourse.com, where you can learn UI UX design with 16 hours of video, which is going to be growing soon. Keep it up to date, and also we're going to be adding an Adobe XD course specifically to the curriculum. Also 38 interactive tests, which you could try out. Where's it at? Where'd it go? Oh, yeah, up here. And then also just 13 different, right now it says 17, but it's actually 13. That's a different topic. 13 different projects where you test your design knowledge, and we also offer mentorship, which I personally look at your designs, provide revisions and feedback. So for this stream 22 discount code will give you 22% off. So consider joining and being a badass, kind of like everybody else, in this particular server. All right, now let us begin. Thank you very much, T20S Grunt. Keep my tithing title. Awesome, keeping rather. All right, Titanium. Work in progress, 80% done. Would love to hear your feedback. All righty. Ooh, okay. We got some animation here. Let's take a look at this. All right, so the most personalized mental health care experience ever. Try being for free. That's kind of weird. It's weird type. Try being for free. It should be like try it out for free, or try it, and in the parentheses, it's free. Something like that. I would say maybe just a tad bit darker in the tone, the lightness of your call to action gradient colors right here. Just a slightly darker, I would prefer. That way you increase the contrast of the type inside of it and also against the white background behind it. Let's go down here. Ooh, clay motion. We have some clay design, clay morphism. Let's see here. All right, so this section right here is a little bit sparse, so to speak. Not much design occurring here, but then we have this really cool section. I like this a lot. I would take this section and move it up. All quite solid. For this section, I'm scrolling up, but there's not much indication that the page is moving. I would do some sort of like vertical line sort of scroll navigation, maybe right here, just to give a progress bar on this specific part of the design. But I'm liking most of what I'm seeing here. This is all solid. I really like this area. This is very good. This is solid, really good. Don't quite like this area. But yeah, very solid. We'll do a rating, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you all think? You can go ahead in the chat and let us know what you think for this, for execution. We could take a look at the responsive nature, by the way. A little bit too much white space right here. And push that back over, which again, that's a CSS issue. You just have to reset that, the margin right probably on there. For me, I'm going to give this one a rating of like 7.6. I think that's pretty solid. Yeah, for sure. Awesome job. Next up. Sometimes I like to pull these off onto my other browser just in case it's not something that should be shown. All right. Okay, so let's refresh that. I think there was some animation here. All right. One problem I kind of have with this, even though it is kind of larger text, in that initial picture, it was a little bit hard to read. So I would probably rethink that just a bit. You know, there's a lot of approaches to adding contrast when it comes to photograph-based backgrounds. You could make them darker. You could put it in a 2-column approach where it's just like half of it is only shown, and then you have a white space or the white background for your type. Yeah. But I do like the navigation up here. Oh, notice the locomotive smooth scroll. It's done well in my opinion. I like this section right here. Nice solid section right here. Look at that. I like how it kind of just fades in. Pretty nice. Yeah, this is solid. So if we bring this in, not sure what this spot is about, but this is solid right here. The menu looks very good. Easy to use, large buttons. Yeah, very solid. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I really didn't have much negative to say about this. Very good icons here, good typographic visual hierarchy, good contrast, good alignment. I mean, they're nailing pretty much everything. Although, this is a little strange right here. I'm not sure about this, like with this white space right here. But otherwise, very good. For me, I'm going to give this a rating of 7.98. Very solid. Good work. All right. Still work in progress, but the primary layout is almost finished. Notice the contact form, the context section is currently in the works. All right. Got this indigo color here. Quite bright, quite in my face. I'm freelancer bringing you programming and design from the future. You should say I'm a freelancer bringing you programming and design language from the future. Okay. Dig into my universe. Interesting. I like the copy there. If I click it, what happens? All right, so nothing because it's a work in progress, I guess. All right, so we have this whole section here is fixed. with a Z index on top of it. All right. Now I'm not a fan of this illustration. It seems just clumsy / amateur in my opinion. You could find a much better illustration somewhere out there. UI8.net has some great paid illustrations that I think are 100% worth it, just to integrate into your app for this type of purpose. It would really just boost the quality up way higher. Simple enough. And of course, this is the probably where a contact form. I know this is a work in progress. A little interesting. I'm not sure if I like the links being spread out this far in the footer. But yeah, interesting. You know, I'm just gonna rate this right away. What do you? I mean, well, I'll wait for you guys. What do you think this should get here for a rating? I never know how many reviews I'm going to do. I usually just go for an hour. All right, so for me, I'm going to give this a rating of 6.8, 6.9, somewhere around there. Just, you know, slightly under like your, you know, pretty solid. All right, very good. Next up, try to view more pages if there's time. Well, there's usually not time because there's a lot of people waiting. Just to be honest here. All right, we have some issues right off the bat, and that is the first thing that's popping up to me is the topography. You have some sort of interesting type here, but then you also have different type up here, and then you also have just regular type. So this is Gilroy Light, which is a good font. This is Blanca. This is bitrate. Three different type, three different, you know, quite different fonts being used, and that just creates inconsistency. There's too much happening with your fonts. Greatly simplify the fonts. Stick with, honestly, just stick with one. You can do two if you do it correctly. Usually it's just a mix of serif and sans serif fonts, but this is just too much happening with your fonts. Additionally, these little cards right here, mid-gray cards on a high contrast, like in a high contrast setting where they're contrasting a lot with the background, just don't look good. They're just kind of bland looking, and especially if you're changing all of the colors in each one. So cards are patterns. They're just repeating elements, and you really need to stick with the same design for each one. You could do things like change the icon. You could do things like maybe adding small accent colors, but vastly changing up like the colors of each one is difficult to get correct, and especially on a mid-gray background, adding color for the type is not good. So you want to just, if you're going to keep them, make them black or something like that. Next up, we have some issues here with white space. So notice you have a lot of white space here, but very little here, inconsistent. You need to push this whole section down. All right. Notice how you're putting everything in cards, which in my opinion shouldn't be. Like this shouldn't be wrapped in a container. Your illustration shouldn't be wrapped in a container either. It makes things boxy and enclosed. Like I've said on this stream before, it's kind of like the difference between an open floor plan of modern homes versus everything being boxy in the traditional old school approach to building homes, essentially. Now putting these in little cards like this is fine. Again, more white space on the top and bottom of this section. Separate things out. I mean, I'll just show you real quickly. I'll demonstrate it. So we have this section right here. So you're using padding 1 rem. So let's do like 10 rem and 0. Look how much better it is when you separate out from the other areas. It just helps you be able to see it so much better here on desktop. Look at that. That is so much better having each section separated out. Here's what it looked like before. I'm going to refresh. And watch how squished it looks like. Yeah, everything's squashed together now. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get? Well, there are some people who are new to my channel, so in fact, most people, like most of my views that I get per day, they're unsubscribed, you know, they're not returning essentially. All right, so let's, yeah, for this, I'm gonna go ahead and give this probably a rating of like 5.8 or so. I think that's fair. And next up, Black Storm is a Figma portfolio. Alrighty, let's do this. Hi, I am John, a full stack web developer. Alrighty, so kind of don't like, this has potential. Let me copy this real quick. We'll go into a new design file here. You need a job. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to pray for you, but I can give you some practical advice. If you want to find a job, get yourself and build yourself an audience online. Start writing content. Make sure your portfolio is spot on. I've done a lot of videos on that. All right, so one thing I would be changing here is I don't like the placement of these icons right here. I would just remove those entirely. And you're also making them different colors, and there's only 2 of them. Really, if you're gonna do icons next year, at least get 3. So right away, we're simplifying this area. And then people don't really care about your project or your resume as much as they do about your projects. They wanna see what you're able to do. They wanna see your resume. That's just based on a very educated guess. Of course, you always have to test these things. So projects down here, this will take them to projects. I also would like to see some sort of texture in the background. So I've talked about texture in the past, and texture can come in many different ways. It could be, a photograph, it could be an illustration, it could be a typographic watermark. I mean, if we tried to do the typographic watermark approach, I'll show you what I mean real quickly. Like full stack, we type that in, we make this thing freaking large, like 600. Maybe we'll do 450. And we'll put it maybe like right here, and then we'll put it to the bottom, and then we will take the opacity so much way down. Full stack. It's even cut off, which makes it interesting. At least you're doing something to break up the absolute just plain white. And like I said, you could do that through illustrations. You could take some polygons or something. Maybe we'll put a big circle right here, put it to the back. Maybe we'll just make it a stroke, essentially. Maybe we'll make it a little bit larger, and then we'll take and squash. Maybe that's a little bit too much, but like maybe 5%. You can just have geometric shapes, and that way you're just kind of doing something interesting and unique in the design, just to make it more interesting. All right. Not sure I really like. I suppose that's okay. I would move these up a little bit closer. And as you can see, you're also not making them white. I would make those white because, yeah, they were off slightly. Woo, that's kind of way too large. These text fields, it should be more like this. And I always like adding a little bit of a border radius rather. You know, move these up closer to each other, duplicate, duplicate, delete, bring this down, take your send button. And of course, these should be equal white space on the right and left. And then move this stuff over. I noticed the improper alignment though on the type. Notice how that's up a little bit too high. You want to take, you know, really careful measure of these things. So look how much better within like a few seconds I made this contact form versus this. I also don't really like the very bright blue. We could desaturate that sucker. And look how much better and more contrast, especially for the button it has. All right. So 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? Let me know. Oh my God. There's crickets in here. These are for our various reptiles, and one is chirping. So I'm gonna get this outside of the room. I'll be right back in literally like 30 seconds. Alrighty. Yeah, so for me, it's definitely higher than a 2. I mean, this here, I would probably get like I probably like around like a 6 or so. I think that's fair, like somebody else said. All right, next up, my 5th attempt to design a portfolio site. Design this while watching mostly your design videos. Okay, it better be good then. All right. All right, let's check it out. We do have a visual hierarchy issue here. Okay, so first of all, pretty nice size headline here. However, this right here is way too light of a font and too small for your sub headline. So if I take this, and what is the font size? 1 rem. Let's do like 1.5 rem units. Much, much better. The width you have set at 400 pixels. So, no, we can increase that. And then the margin, there's too much white space between this element here and that element. Now you're using the grid with gap, I believe. I'm not going to try to figure out everything here, but you need to reduce the white space here. See my work a little bit small. I would like to see a little bit larger and more height, and also of course not spaced out so far. Your 3 elements right there are really spaced out too far. All right. Also, pretty small text up here, and especially being orange, gets lost a little bit. I'd like to see more white space on the top and bottom of both of these elements. I would make these black and maybe just make the currently active page bold and either orange or your purple color. All right, so these sort of approaches with these big old Bezier curves and the curves on this type of, I just don't like them. It seems like you're just trying to do too much and they just don't look all that well. Also, I know if you're just starting off, I would avoid as much as possible putting things like calculators, COVID trackers, things like to-do lists, things like that you know that the person just watched a YouTube video or read a tutorial somewhere to make the project. You want to try to get real clients as much as possible, even if you do stuff for free, just to have real projects. This is a pretty good section here compared to most, the ones above. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think? I'm going to go ahead and rate this one, yeah, probably like upper 5s in my opinion. Also notice like adding a blur here, but the contrast is bad behind the type, like with the purple in this section, like it gets lost in some areas. Look at that, that's a big no-no. So just to do a different pattern, just make it solid white. That's okay. I mean, if you go to DesignCourse.com, recently we integrated a change and we made the nav sticky. We're just making it black. It just stays black no matter what in order to ensure this bar here and this nav is always visible. All right, next up. Alrighty, so this is a Figma prototype. I don't know why some people really like the extended leading, which is the line height. I think it should be brought in a little bit closer, and you could probably even stand to make it a little bit larger as well. So if I go back to this file view and we do a quick adjustment on here. Here's the before. Ungroup. All right, good. Oop, nope, that's not what we want. So we have mixed sizes here. Let's bring this out more. All right. We'll push some things down. I would get rid of we do it all just to simplify this section. You don't need to manually hit line break. Oh wait, that wasn't the case. All right, sorry about that. Probably increase the leading slightly here. All right, so I think that's a better approach. Maybe make this slightly a little bit more leading, but not quite as much as what they had. Something like that. Rest of it, let's see here. One thing I would do is let's take this, everything as a group. Notice how these are now aligned right there in the center. That helps overall with alignment. There are some other approaches you can take. Like we could put these ones right here and move these in, and then this one right here and move these in. And so that's another approach you can take to really help get a nice alignment going. This kind of feels unaligned in many ways. Like we have a column here, then slightly over here, we have a column here, then a column here, and a column there, and so on and so forth. So you can simplify these sections a lot just by really paying attention to simplifying the alignment and getting things aligned with each other as much as possible. I'm not sure about this. This feels weird. You know, you could do something like we did on DesignCourse on the home page, like this, kind of like where there's things pointing to each other. But this, they feel a little, way too just separated, and it's a weird contrast here with this this gray, or this green and the gray, the dark gray behind it. So I would simplify things a lot more. I see a lot of borders, like the dash border thing. Yeah. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I'm going to give this a rating here of probably like a 6.3 or so. I think that's pretty fair. Next up is Who? A redesign of an already existing website that I've made. Animations are kind of meh. Oh, wait. Wait, what? I think I already did that one. Let's see if we can translate this. All right. This is too small. I think your nav items need to be a bit larger. Also, your you have title case on these, but then contact us is not capitalized. Although I forgot. I mean, this is translated. Never mind. I would move this section up a little bit higher. Too close to this. You want more white space between this section right here and this section, these two areas. This is actually pretty good. These cards aren't too bad either. Maybe a little bit small in this type right here. I would probably push that up. Again, it's a different font though. Company right here should be white. That's bad color contrast. So for instance, if I grab this, we can change this color to the white. That right there looks so much better. Actually, let me back up. We'll just do background white, color black. So that's a lot better right there than what it was before. And then these are placeholder values, which you want those to be floating for accessibility purposes. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get for a rating? For me, I'm going to give this a rating of not that bad. I'm gonna say probably just like a flat out 7.2. All right. How long have we been going? Oh, yeah, 32. All right, just to remind everybody, DesignCourse.com recently launched here earlier this month, where you will be able to learn UI UX design in an interactive setting with 16 hours of videos, interactive user interface tests, of which there's about 38 of those, and then mentorship, where I look at the designs that you submit and I provide you with feedback and also design iterations. And that's going to help you tremendously to just become a better designer overall. So it's all explained here on this landing page. Of course, if you have more questions, you can hit me up on the chat, although I'm not accepting chats now. We also have parity pricing. That's right. So if you live in India or any of these and many other countries, you'll get a good discount depending upon where you live. Now, otherwise, you can use the Stream 22 discount to get 22% off and start learning today. So definitely check that out. Here's our stats, by the way. There's 29 pending mentor reviews for me to get to. Yeah, there's about 150 mentor subscribers, and there's 1,206 total course users. So very popular, very successful, very happy overall with the results. All right, next up is Raff. Wait, what the heck? I keep on, oh, people aren't doing the little check mark for me, so I'm losing my space. All right. Alrighty, next up. All right. Let me take this real quick. Let me move this off screen. I don't know why people insist on trying to message me during streams. Let's get that out. All right, let's paste that. Now I like having more contrast with the canvas on. Yeah, so for this I would make it dark. That way you can really see the layout. But that's one thing everybody knows. I hate about Adobe XD, they don't let you change the canvas light gray color they have. It's ridiculous. So we could take, I want to see more contrast behind this section. So what I would do is just take a rectangle and just go like this, and we'll position it underneath stuff. Although, let's see here, there we go. And then we'll make it this color. We could do something like that. That way we'll really increase that contrast, especially with this call to action as well. I think that's a lot better. To give ourselves a little bit more space from this element, we could do this. And then we could also, don't worry about breaking the layout when it comes to illustrations like this. You can just push them right off to the side, and that way it kind of consumes more of the layout. I think that's a lot better. So for instance, if I paste this back in, we'll do a before and after, and just look at that. It's easier to read, looks better in my opinion, and it really separates these sections a lot more so. Now this right here, I wouldn't, let's just take one of these for instance. We'll ungroup it. I'll take this, we're gonna get rid of that, but we're gonna give it a white, or you could probably use that as well. Now of course, we have to position this underneath. I think that's a lot better approach, just having high contrast cards in this context. So I just take this, delete those, take this, duplicate that, oops, duplicate this as well. I think that's a lot better. So check out how quickly I was able to really just by changing color alone, how quickly we can really improve a design once you start to develop that eye. I would probably make this white, and we could take down the opacity possibly, or we can grab this background color. We could do that instead. There we go. All right. One being the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire little life, and 10 being the best. What do you think? Of course, I'm not talking about my design. I'm talking about the original. Brad, which class did he say mentorship was included? I'm not sure what you mean by that. You have to join the base course, which is the UI UX course, which is a one-time fee. And then you access the course forever, and the course stays up to date. And then if you want to, you can add mentorship, which is a subscription fee, a monthly subscription fee that you can cancel anytime, where I look at your design challenges that are a part of the regular UI UX curriculum, and I rate them and also provide revisions. I can show you real quickly what it actually looks like. So here's one submission. This is, if I go to the module, it'll tell me which submission they've submitted. So for this one, it's the very first challenge. It's just to create an extremely simple layout, just using 2 typographic elements and 2 colors. And so this is that person's very first submission. And I take a look at their Figma prototype they submitted, and I see if they can be improved. And again, this is supposed to be very super simple. This is actually not that bad. So, but I would make a couple adjustments to this. But this is actually pretty solid because it's testing visual hierarchy through topography, and it's also testing alignment. And they've done a pretty good job. I would make slight adjustments, and then I would respond to them with my adjustments and my comments. So that's what mentorship is. And there's 12 of those things. And I did also add a new section at the bottom yesterday, mentorship submissions, where you could just submit one of your designs you created. It doesn't have to be based on anything, any challenge, and you could submit it, and I will take a look at it. All right. So enough of that, just to answer that question. For this, I'm going to give probably just like a 6.8. All right. Continuing on, let me go back to my channel here. Negative space. All right. Now I completely lost my space. 10 employers rejected me after seeing my website. Oh my God, this might not be good. All right. Oh wait. I already looked at that one. Yeah, I did. We already reviewed that one. All right. Already reviewed that one. Oh my God. I used to have people helping me with this. All right, this is the next one. All right. Interesting color scheme. I kind of like it. With this blue, or this kind of darker blue, and this sort of orangish reddish color. I like that a lot. I might want to move this whole section down in the middle, probably starting right here, based on the white space here and there. But overall, pretty solid so far. I would probably open this up. I wouldn't put these in card containers, this content. I think it only makes sense to put things in card containers if they're repeating elements, like, you know, actual like repeatable cards, like features or things like that. Like this. This makes more sense to put in cards, in my opinion. To increase contrast by default, I would just make these 100%. I wouldn't apply any opacity onto these. It'll make them stand out better, not make them look not washed out by default. This is a pretty good section here. I would add more white space above this and this, these little heading elements, just to separate your content more. All right, pretty decent section here for your form. I like the type. What type is that? Poppins. Of course it is. I love Poppins, of course. All right, everybody, what do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. There's nothing wrong with opacity in and of itself. I just don't think you want to apply it here. Also like I would rather see this picture like this without having to hover over it by default. So for this, I'm going to give, I really like the type here. The type is all done pretty well. I'm just going to do like a 7.2 for this one. Next up. Please don't check off things that have not yet been reviewed. Although he did that to himself. All right. I think I did just review that one. No, I didn't. All right. So let's check this one. Remember that stream 22 ping will be deactivated after this stream. So make sure to, if you want to join, you have to join pretty soon because we're going to be concluding here in about like 15 minutes or less. All right, so notice how earlier I said stop, don't box everything in. This shouldn't be boxed into this container right here. It's just too boxy. This shouldn't, I wouldn't box this in either, the navigation. This section is actually pretty decent right here. But I don't like this section. Not sure I would outline these in that sort of desaturated orange color here. I would just use a gray or something like that instead. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you all think? List mask? No, I mean, you know, essentially it's a 0 to 10 rating scale. 0 is like, in terms of how, like 0 to 10, like 0 is like complete worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never given a 0. I think I've given a 1 or a 2 before, a couple times. That means just really poor execution in terms of UI, UX design, essentially. And then 10, I don't think I've ever given a 10 either. I've given a bunch of 9s, 9 point, you know, X or whatever, but yeah. For me, I'm going to give this a rating. You know, this is a solid design right here. It really is. But this just doesn't match the quality of this section right here. So I'm going to give this one a, just like a 5.8 or something. All right. Next up, I want to make sure I got everybody here. Yeah, I just did that one. All right, this is next. Don't spam. I'm gonna put you in a timeout if you do that again. All right. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. What is happening? What is happening? Happy Friday. All right, so unfortunately, this is not, I don't know what's happening, like what I'm supposed to be looking at. So we're just gonna skip that one. Oh, well, I didn't read this. This is desktop view. Windows 11, like are you just redesigning what you saw with Windows 11? Yeah, if this is just a redesign of something that exists already, and it's not worth it for me to review. Sorry about that. But I prefer these just to be 100% your ideas as much as possible. Not like, you know, whatever. All right, next up. The immediate feeling I got from this is this background image is just bland. It's just kind of muted. I'm not sure I really like it too much because it's one thing I hate is a lot of mid grays. And so when I say mid gray, you know, it's just like if you take here, let me copy this. I can't. What the hell? Maybe it was locked. Well, either way, mid grays is if you take the slider, the color picker, and you just go right in the middle between white and black. I just think it looks too bland. So I would rethink the image that goes behind here. You could still use a mountain image or something that's dark, but I wouldn't mute the colors like you've done with these overlays. Not too much of a fan of these where it just says view, 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 view. When it comes to buttons on cards that are repeating, I would say in the context of 3 or more, you want to make your buttons, you don't want to make them real high contrast in a way that they really stick out. You can make them very understated. And this isn't understated because they have their own cards, background colors, and stuff like that. And it just looks too repetitious, so to speak. So you could get rid of these little blue areas. And then what you could do is, like, let me just show you real quick. I'll show you an approach that you could take alternatively. We're going to add a linear gradient. All right, and we're going to change that to 100%. And we're going to reverse these. And we'll take this down just a bit. Now this is already a dark image, but now what we can do at the bottom least is we can put view project. So we'll put it inside the actual design here. Let's get ourselves, let's use Poppins. And we'll make this, right now the size doesn't matter. Let's see, we'll put view project, and then maybe we'll put a little icon like an arrow, and we'll make that 1 and then white. So this right here, and especially if you get a frame behind them, like this is far better in my opinion than having those real high contrast buttons that you had previously. So this is a lot better than this approach. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get? $200 people watching right now. We got a few more minutes. I hurt my back at the gym like 5-6 days ago doing squats. So I'm always having to like readjust my seating position. I'm getting better though. I have an inversion table. I'm hanging upside down a lot. All right, I'm gonna give this a rating here of about a 6.2 or so. I think that's fair. Next up, we got an Instagram. I've seen this before. I've seen this design. I'm fairly, yeah, I already did a review of that design. We're not going to do that one again. Ooh, this one's fancy. We got a fancy one. This might be our best entry so far. Let's refresh. We had some subtle animation come in. Look at that. I like it. I would have that all come in a little bit faster though, that sequence animation. Trying to see what's been used here. So this is a plugin called Wapalizer, and it allows you to see the technologies used in a given app. So this is based on React. Let's scroll down here. I would probably make this a little bit larger just because these right here are kind of competing. They're like the same size with the headline. So I'm not sure what's going to happen if I try to adjust the type. Like I might go 4.5 rem units, and then on designer, we'll do the same. I think I kind of like that better. Establishes better hierarchy between these elements. But if I refresh, nonetheless, we'll see what the original was. I mean, it's still solid. I mean, that's just, you could leave it fine like that. We got a fixed vertical navigation right here. Nice white space, as you can see. Nice alignment. Even visually seeing this, a very low contrast 1 pixel border for each column that things are aligned on, that works perfectly. And it's also a way, it's also texture, I would say, like I was talking about earlier. It's a way to just break up a completely solid background. All very good type. Now, where it says let's talk, I'm gonna say honestly I would like to see a form here. This also seems like it's a section heading, so I didn't know it was actually a button. So I would probably rethink that. But other than that, this is all very solid. This is Metropolis. I think that might be my new favorite font. And in fact, I'm going to put that just so I don't forget. Metropolis font. I wonder if that's available on Google Fonts. Doesn't look like it is, but very solid either way. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Now, one thing I will say is that's not a good thing is Hamburger Menus on desktop, where you only have 3 links. Put those things up here. You could do Hamburger Menus or not. This isn't even a hamburger menu, of course. This is just, it just says menu. But when you do these, you're requiring an extra click from the visitor. They're only okay if you have a lot of content, and secondary supplementary content can go in that navigation. But forcing me to click this, just to click home, projects, and contacts, doesn't really make sense, even though it's a cool design. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a rating of easily a 9. Yeah. 9, 0.2 it could even be. Very solid. Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, so next up, and notice there wasn't a single illustration on that website. You don't always have to have illustrations. Lacking contrast here on repairs. This is solid right up here. The navigation is good. Quite extended leading or line height. I would probably reduce that a bit. This is pretty solid. I'm not sure if I like this. It's pretty saturated here. So if I go back to change that to file, that way I can grab it. I can go to file, new design. Yeah, so like for these sections, I might want to change this to something more like that. Same thing here. So if I grab that, maybe just desaturate, maybe make it slightly darker and not, especially for this one. Everything's in a group here apparently. Oh, that's a part of the image. I was going to change that color right there. This is pretty solid though. Yeah, very, very good layout here. Yeah. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do y'all think this person should get? For their design. I think this is solid. Very close to probably like an 8, I would say. We are going to do one more. Let's see, who is the lucky person? Or unlucky, depending on how you look at it. All right. Oh my God. Wait a second. Oh, this person has submitted before. Oh my God, there's a lot happening here. This person's added like a bunch of questions and stuff on their UI. Is there enough empty space? Is this too small or just right? Really, I'd like to see it just without all the stuff that's been added on top of it. Some of the type could be used work, but honestly, with all this stuff that you've added, like these little lines and stuff, I can't really get a good idea of what's happening here. Okay. And I'm not even sure, like, I don't see full UI with like a navigation or anything, so I'm losing the purpose. Like, is that onboarding? I really don't know. Yeah, so unfortunately, without that context, I can't really coding courses, web design. It's not enough information for me. I'd like an actual prototype ready version or something in the browser that I could see. Here's another one with like 1 million artboards. What is happening here? Oh my God. Get better illustration here. These are just cheesy, these types of illustrations. I would make this black because there's a lot of red occurring, especially up here. Like you can make these ones black or dark gray, but you don't want to have all your text be, you know, this red color. So I would adjust that. Pretty good at looking icons over here. This having large areas of just like red in your face, I'm not sure if I really like that too much because there's high contrast. All right, we're not going to bother with a rating for this one, but yeah, that's going to be it for today. Make sure you go to DesignCourse.com if you want to learn UI UX. There are 16 hours of video, user interactive tests, user interface tests that are interactive rather, and mentorship where I look at your designs and provide revisions and feedback. Stream 22 for the coupon code, or if you live in a different country, you may qualify for parity pricing. You have to visit the last step of the order form, and there'll be a button to apply up to a 40% discount depending on where you live. So take advantage of that. I'm going to be disabling that Stream 22 coupon code as well after the stream. So a few minutes after, rather. And I will see you all very soon. The next negative space video or streams usually on Fridays. So awesome stuff. I'll see you all soon. Goodbye. And awkward silence because I didn't have my thing up here. There we go. End stream.